Car rental, they will be selling vehicles through Amazon.
Yeah, Hertz is going to be on Amazon, specifically Amazon Autos, which, if you're not familiar with that, is Amazon's online auto marketplace. Hertz for many, many years.
Picture this. You're scrolling through Amazon, same way you'd shop for headphones or a new pair of sneakers, and suddenly something stops you cold. A 2022 Tesla Model 3 sitting right there on your screen. Barely 2 years old, low miles, looks absolutely perfect, priced at $25,000. It should cost $55,000. Your finger hovers. Your brain says, scam. You look again, same number, same car. It is not a scam. It is something far more complicated than that. And honestly, something far more dangerous. Here is what is actually happening right now. Amazon just made a $20 billion mistake, and it did not destroy Amazon. It destroyed Hertz, one of the most recognizable companies in America, with over 500,000 vehicles sitting on lots across the country right now, bleeding value so fast it would make your head spin. Brand new luxury SUVs losing 60% of their worth almost overnight. Teslas that cost $55,000 just 2 years ago getting dumped onto the market for $25,000. A 2023 BMW X5 that should retail for $68,000 sitting on a Hertz lot with a $39,000 price tag. A Mercedes SUV worth $75,000 new going for $42,000. Low mileage, no damage, just absolutely slaughtered. And Amazon? Amazon was watching all of this happen from a distance, waiting, planning. Because while Hertz was quietly drowning under the weight of $18 billion in debt and $588 million in losses in a single quarter, Amazon was positioning itself to swoop in and take over the entire car-buying market in one move. This is not a clearance sale. This is not a seasonal discount. What you are watching right now is the complete destruction of automotive retail as we have known it for over a century. Traditional dealerships are closing their doors for good. Families that built car businesses across 3 generations are turning off the lights and walking away. The entire foundation of how Americans buy cars is cracking underneath our feet in real time. And right in the middle of all that chaos, those prices are calling your name. But here's the part nobody is talking about. Because buried inside what looks like the deal of a lifetime is a hidden trap. A truth about these vehicles that most buyers will never hear until they are already underwater, already upside down on a loan, already stuck with a car that is worth half of what they paid, and falling. So before you click, before you drive to that lot, before you hand over a single dollar chasing one of these prices that seem almost too good to be real, who is actually going to end up paying the real price here? The dealers, Amazon, Hertz, or you? Those Hertz lots are not hard to find. Drive past any major airport in America right now, and you will see them. Row after row after row of vehicles sitting under the open sky, baking in the sun, collecting dust, going absolutely nowhere. Not for a day, not for a week. Some of these cars have not moved in months. And when you actually stop and think about what you are looking at, the number becomes almost impossible to wrap your head around. Over 500,000 vehicles. 500,000 cars and trucks that Hertz desperately, urgently needs to move right now. That is not an inventory problem. That is a crisis wearing a parking lot as a disguise. To understand how a company ends up here, you have to understand what Hertz actually is at its core, not what they advertise, not the logo at the airport counter, the actual business underneath. Hertz built its entire empire on a single, simple idea. Buy cars, rent them out, collect the revenue, sell the cars before they lose too much value, repeat. For decades, that model worked. It was not glamorous, but it was reliable, predictable, safe. Then the world changed and the model did not. Business travel, which was the backbone of rental car revenue for generations, never fully came back after the pandemic. The road warriors, the consultants, the sales teams flying city to city every single week, they started doing things differently. Video calls replaced flight bookings. Remote work replaced the road trip. And the revenue that Hertz had counted on for years quietly stopped showing up. Leisure travelers filled some of that gap, but not enough. And younger consumers started making a different choice entirely. Why rent a car for a week when a rideshare app gets you where you need to go without the paperwork, the insurance upsell, and the fuel charge you forgot to read about in the fine print? The behavior shifted, the customers drifted, and Hertz kept buying cars. That is the part that makes this story so brutal in hindsight. The market was already walking out the door, slowly, steadily, and Hertz responded by doubling down on the one thing that was becoming a liability. More vehicles, more depreciation, more debt, more exposure to a market that was shrinking around them in real time. Think about what it means to own 500,000 vehicles in a world where fewer and fewer people want to rent one. Every single day, those cars sit still. They are losing value. Every sunrise costs money. Every sunset costs more. And while Hertz was trying to figure out how to survive what they had built, one company had already figured out exactly how to profit from it. To understand how Hertz went from struggling to catastrophic, you have to go back to 2021, because that is when the company made the single decision that turned a bad situation into a financial disaster that nobody inside that boardroom saw coming. Late 2021. Hertz announces they are ordering 100,000 Teslas, 100,000 electric vehicles in a single purchase agreement. The stock price jumps immediately. Analysts start calling it a masterstroke. Executives collect their bonuses. The headlines write themselves. Hertz is back. Hertz is bold. Hertz is playing chess while every competitor is still playing checkers. What they were actually doing was loading a chamber and pulling the trigger. Those Teslas cost Hertz an average of $55,000 each. Do that math slowly. 100,000 vehicles, $55,000 apiece. That is the kind of number that does not leave much room for error. That is the kind of BET that requires everything to go exactly right, in a market that had already started showing every sign that nothing was going to go right at all. Today, those same Teslas are being liquidated for as little as $25,000. Vehicles that are barely 2 years old. Vehicles that have barely lived a fraction of their useful life, losing more than half their value faster than almost any car in modern automotive history. And Hertz is not selling them slowly, carefully, strategically. They are dumping them because they have no other choice. The financial damage underneath that decision is staggering when you actually look at the numbers directly. Hertz's total fleet depreciation hit $588 million in a single quarter, not across a full year. 1 quarter, 3 months. $588 million in value, gone. Their debt load climbed past $18 billion, while revenue dropped 15% year over year. A company that was supposed to be engineering a comeback was quietly drowning in the very assets it had staked everything on. Here is what makes the Tesla bet so painful in hindsight. It was not just a bad guess about one vehicle. It was a structural miscalculation about the entire direction of the market. Electric vehicle values were already beginning to soften when Hertz went all in. The federal tax credits that had been quietly propping up EV purchase math were not guaranteed to last. And a rental customer base that was already shrinking had even less enthusiasm for electric vehicles than it did for traditional ones. The bet failed on every level simultaneously. The vehicles depreciated faster than projected. The rental demand never materialized. The exit strategy evaporated. And while Hertz was staring at $500 million disappearing in a single quarter, one company had been watching every single move they made, waiting for exactly this moment to arrive. Amazon did not stumble into the car business. That is the first thing you need to understand clearly. There was no moment inside that company where someone looked at the Hertz collapse and thought, well, this seems like a fun opportunity. That is not how Amazon operates. That has never been how Amazon operates. What actually happened is something far more deliberate, far more calculated, and honestly, far more unsettling when you see it laid out in full. Amazon has been studying the traditional dealership model for years, quietly, methodically, watching the massive overhead costs that dealers carry just to keep their lots open every single morning. Watching the inefficient distribution networks that make moving a vehicle from manufacturer to buyer slower and more expensive than almost any other retail transaction in the modern economy. Watching profit margins that were already razor thin before any of this disruption landed. Amazon saw an industry that was structurally vulnerable, loaded with inefficiencies, and protected primarily by habit and regulation rather than genuine competitive strength. Then Hertz imploded on schedule, and Amazon moved. Amazon Autos is not a side project. It is not an experiment. It is a precisely timed infrastructure play designed to land at the exact moment when traditional players were too financially damaged to fight back effectively. Premium inventory available at wholesale prices. A logistics network already capable of delivering a vehicle to your driveway faster than most dealers can return a phone call. And a customer base of over 200 million Prime members whose buying habits, financial behaviors, and personal preferences are already mapped in extraordinary detail. That last part is the real weapon, not the price, not the convenience, the data. When you search for a car on Amazon, they are not simply showing you inventory. They are cross-referencing your search against your purchase history, your household income signals, your shopping patterns, and your geographic behavior. They know what you are likely to buy before you have fully decided yourself. Traditional dealers have a database with a few hundred customers and information that is mostly outdated. Amazon has a detailed financial and behavioral profile on hundreds of millions of people and updates it continuously. And then there is the franchise law strategy that almost nobody is discussing openly. Amazon is not fighting state dealership protection laws directly. Instead, it is working with manufacturers to build direct-to-consumer programs that technically comply with existing regulations while quietly removing the traditional dealer from the transaction entirely. Ford and GM are already testing versions of this. The local dealer gets a small processing fee. Amazon gets the customer, the data, and the margin. Traditional dealers are waking up to find themselves exactly where bookstores were the morning Amazon started selling books online. What felt like a minor inconvenience is already becoming something they may not survive. The numbers are where this story stops being abstract and starts being something you can feel in your chest. A 2023 BMW X5 that should retail for $68,000 is sitting on a Hertz lot with a $39,000 price tag. A Mercedes GLE worth $75,000 brand new is being liquidated for $42,000. These are not damaged vehicles. These are not flood cars with hidden frame issues or odometers that have been quietly rolled back. These are premium SUVs with low mileage being absolutely slaughtered at prices that would have been impossible to imagine just 2 years ago. And the moment those prices hit the open market, everything around them started falling too. When Hertz began dumping their Tesla inventory, it did not just affect Tesla prices. It detonated the entire electric vehicle market in one move. A Chevy Bolt that was selling for $31,000 at dealerships suddenly looked absurd when a liquidated Tesla Model 3 was available for $28,000. Dealers who were holding EV inventory started panic-cutting prices within weeks. And within months, the entire category was in free fall, pulling values down across every brand, every model, every price point simultaneously. But the damage did not stop at electric vehicles. It spread. Used car values across every category started collapsing. Vehicles losing 30 to 40% of their value in under 12 months. Not because anything was mechanically wrong with them, Not because buyers suddenly stopped needing transportation, but because the market was being flooded with identical vehicles at fire sale prices, and simple economics does not care about your feelings when supply overwhelms demand that completely. Walk into a traditional dealership right now and you will see the evidence of this in real time. Customers are coming through the door with Amazon printouts in their hands. They are sitting across from salespeople and asking, politely at first, why they should pay $45,000 for a truck they can get delivered to their driveway for $32,000. Dealers who were marking up vehicles by $15,000 over sticker just 18 months ago are now slashing prices faster than a clearance sale at a store that knows it is closing. The markup culture that defined automotive retail for decades is being dismantled week by week. And here is the moment where this story takes the turn that most buyers completely miss. Because when you are looking at a 2023 BMW for $39,000 or a Mercedes SUV for $42,000, the savings feel overwhelmingly real. The numbers are right there on the screen. The logic feels airtight. That is precisely when most people stop asking the questions that matter most. And that is precisely when the most expensive mistakes in this entire market get made. A good deal on the wrong car is still a bad deal. That sentence sounds simple. It sounds obvious. And yet, thousands of buyers are going to learn it the hard way inside this market because the discounts are so dramatic that they short-circuit the part of your brain responsible for asking harder questions. So let us ask those questions now, before you are sitting across from anyone with a pen in your hand. The first thing you need to understand about these liquidated rental vehicles is what they actually are beneath the clean exterior and the attractive price tag. These cars have been driven by hundreds of different people, none of whom had any personal investment in treating the vehicle gently. That is not speculation. That is the fundamental nature of rental car usage. Airport rental vehicles tend to fare better. Consistent mileage, predictable routes, regular maintenance schedules driven by corporate policy. Leisure rentals are a different story entirely. Irregular wear patterns, quick and cheap repairs performed specifically to get the vehicle back into service as fast as possible. Damage that was fixed just well enough to pass a casual inspection. The service records will tell you which one you are looking at. Read them carefully, and if the seller cannot produce them, that itself is the answer. The financing reality is the second trap, and it is one that erases those headline savings faster than most buyers ever anticipate. Banks are reassessing how they lend on liquidated inventory because the collateral is depreciating faster than the loans can be paid down. Some lenders are now requiring down payments of 40% on these vehicles, and the interest rates being offered on liquidated inventory are running 3 to 4 percentage points higher than traditional auto loans. A $50,000 vehicle financed at 8.5% instead of 4.5% costs you an additional $12,000 over the life of that loan. Quietly, invisibly. Right there in the contract, you almost did not read closely enough. Then there is the insurance gap that almost nobody factors in until it is too late. If that bargain luxury SUV gets totaled 6 months after purchase, your insurance settlement is based on current market values. In a market that is still falling, the gap between what you are paid and what you still owe on the loan can be catastrophic. And for electric vehicles specifically, the danger is sharpest of all. Used EVs are already trading at roughly half their original sticker price. Without federal tax credits holding the math together, buying one new today means watching a significant portion of your money disappear in real time. The depreciation curve on these vehicles is not gradual. It is a cliff. The discount is real. The trap is equally real. And they are sitting in the same parking space. The dealerships going dark is the part of this story that the price charts and depreciation graphs cannot fully capture. Because behind every closed showroom, behind every lot with a for lease sign replacing a car brand's logo, there are real people who built real lives around an industry that is being dismantled faster than anyone thought possible. Over 2,400 traditional dealerships have permanently closed their doors in the past 18 months alone. Not temporarily, not seasonally, permanently. The kind of closed where someone walks through the building one final time, turns off every light, locks the door behind them, and does not come back. There is a Ford dealership in suburban Denver that had been family-owned for 3 generations. Grandfather built it. Father grew it. Son inherited it, with every intention of passing it to his own children one day. Last month, they sold their final vehicle. The owner told local media that customers kept walking in holding Amazon printouts, asking why they should pay $45,000 for a truck they could have delivered directly to their driveway for $32,000. He did not have a good answer. Nobody in his position does anymore. The financial infrastructure underneath these dealerships is fracturing at the same speed. Floor plan financing, the system where banks lend dealers money to purchase their inventory, has become genuinely dangerous when that inventory might lose 30% of its value before a single unit sells. Banks that were comfortable lending 90% of a vehicle's value 18 months ago are pulling back hard and fast. The credit lines that kept showroom floors full are tightening precisely when dealers need them most. And then there is the human cost that never appears in Amazon's quarterly earnings report. Sales managers with 20 years of experience waking up to find their entire professional skill set has become obsolete almost overnight. Finance managers, service advisors, parts departments, the entire ecosystem of employment that a single dealership anchors in its community, evaporating simultaneously. In small towns across America, the local dealership was often one of the largest employers on Main Street. It sponsored the Little League teams. It supported the local fundraisers. It provided stable, good-paying jobs for people who built careers without college degrees. Those anchors are being pulled out of the ground one by one. The real estate left behind tells the same story in a different language. Dealerships require massive, specialized facilities. When they close, those buildings are nearly impossible to repurpose. Empty lots, vacant showrooms, infrastructure built for an industry that is not coming back in the same form. This is not a temporary correction. This is not a market cycle running its normal course. The foundation of traditional automotive retail is being permanently replaced. And the company doing the replacing does not need any of what is being left behind. You now understand exactly how this happened. You know what Hertz built and why it collapsed. You know what Amazon planned and how they executed it. You know what these prices actually represent and what is hiding underneath them. Now comes the part that puts real money back in your pocket and keeps you from becoming one of the cautionary stories inside this market. The first thing to get right is timing. If you are looking at liquidated rental inventory, the sweet spot is typically 90 to 120 days after a major liquidation announcement. The initial wave of panic pricing creates deals that look extraordinary but carry the highest risk. Wait for that first rush to settle. The genuine opportunities with cleaner histories and more negotiating room surface in the weeks that follow once the frenzy cools. Next, know exactly what you are buying before you fall in love with the price. Pull the service records. Study the mileage patterns. An airport rental vehicle with consistent mileage and documented maintenance is a fundamentally different purchase than a leisure rental that was treated like a personal race car by a rotating cast of strangers. Irregular maintenance intervals, unusually high wear on components that should not show it yet, repairs completed quickly and cheaply. These are the details hiding in the paperwork that will cost you thousands later if you skip past them now. Your financing strategy needs to match this market specifically. Credit unions are moving more flexibly than traditional banks on liquidated inventory right now. Put down more than you normally would. In a market where values are still falling, being underwater on your loan from the moment you drive off the lot is a real and immediate danger, not a theoretical one. Get an independent inspection, not the seller's inspection, not a quick visual walkthrough. A qualified mechanic who understands rental fleetwear patterns, looking at the vehicle seriously before you commit to anything. That inspection costs a few $100s. The problems it uncovers could save you thousands. Factor in total cost of ownership before you calculate anything else. That $25,000 Tesla can look like the smartest purchase of your life until you build in the battery replacement timeline, the insurance premium running 40% above a comparable gas vehicle, and the depreciation that is still actively falling. The purchase price is always just the first number in a much longer equation. Finally, use regional differences deliberately. Major metropolitan markets are seeing the most aggressive price collapses right now. Rural markets are lagging behind. If you are willing to travel for the right vehicle, the spread between those markets can add up to a significant real dollar advantage. The genuine deals in this market are genuine. The genuine traps are equally genuine. The only difference between the buyer who wins and the buyer who gets buried is the work done before anyone sits down to sign anything. Step back for a moment and look at the full picture of what we have actually walked through together. Hertz built a time bomb by betting everything on a market that was already walking away from them. 100,000 Teslas purchased at $55,000 each, now being liquidated at $25,000. A single quarter producing a loss of $588 million. A debt load pushing past $18 billion, while customers quietly chose rideshare apps and video calls over rental counters. 500,000 vehicles sitting on lots across America. Bleeding value every single hour, they do not move. Amazon watched every bit of it happen. Not with surprise, with preparation. Years of studying the structural weaknesses inside traditional automotive retail, building the logistics network, assembling the data infrastructure, waiting for exactly the kind of chaos that Hertz delivered on schedule. And now they are executing a takeover of the car buying market with the same calculated precision they used to dismantle bookstores, reshape retail, and remake cloud computing. The traditional dealers, caught in the middle of this transition, are closing their doors for good, one by one, taking decades of community history with them. This is the new reality of automotive retail. It is not arriving gradually. It is already here. And sitting right in the center of all of it are prices that seem almost impossible. Luxury SUVs at economy car prices. Premium vehicles with low mileage at numbers that make your instincts say scam before your brain catches up. The opportunity inside this market is absolutely real. The danger hiding inside that same opportunity is equally real. And the distance between coming out ahead and getting quietly destroyed comes down entirely to the work you do before you sign a single thing. Know what the vehicle actually is beneath the price tag. Know what it will genuinely cost to own across 3 to 5 years of real driving. Know what it will be worth the day you need to sell it or trade it. The purchase price is always just the opening number in a much longer and more expensive equation than most buyers ever take the time to calculate. The dealers are under pressure, unlike anything this industry has seen in decades. The inventory is real. The discounts are real. The leverage available to a prepared buyer right now is genuinely extraordinary. But that leverage only protects you if you know how to use it, and you know which vehicles are actually worth using it on. Before you walk onto any lot or click buy on any listing, download the free ebook, Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026, linked in the description below. Depreciation data, real owner reliability reports, the exact models that will drain you quietly and consistently. Completely free. The deals are out there. Make absolutely sure you are the one who knows which ones are actually worth taking.